Chapter 11 Two Whirlpools. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Village. In the past few days since sending the letter, Bai Ye has been busy collecting information. After relying on money, offensive and threats of force, Bai Ye obtained the information he wanted. In just half a month, the senior management of Xiao brought back a red-haired woman and imprisoned her in the secret room of Kawayaku. It is said that such a red-haired woman is named Huali and has some special abilities. The addition of these pieces of information was enough for Bai Ye to confirm that Huali was Xiang Lu's mother. These days, Byakuya also tried to get close to Uzumaki Karen, but the secret room was heavily defended, and trying to rescue her would cause a huge stir, and might even trigger a siege by the entire Kusagakure village. After adapting to the Whirlpool bloodline and mastering the method of making detonating talismans, his strength has completely reached the level of Jounin. With advanced preparation, it is not a bad idea to kill an elite Jounin, but compared to the harvest, the risk is still too great. It will be safer to wait until Nagato arrives. Moreover, if we only carry out the rescue of Huali, the harvest from this trip to Xiao Village will be too little. Xiao Village can store a lot of things that the Akatsuki organization urgently needs at the moment. Pulling back his thoughts that were gradually diverging, Bai Ye glanced at Xiaonan, who was making detonating charms to support his family. I started thinking about how to make a complete plan. A few days later, Byakuya met Nagato outside Kusagakure village. Compared with the impression of Nagato in his previous life, the current Nagato is just a young boy. He does not have the demeanor of a big boss behind the scenes at all, and he even looks away from himself. However, this seemingly cowardly young man has the eye of reincarnation. While Byakuya was looking at Nagato, Nagato was also looking at Byakuya. Byakuya looked clean, but his eyes were full of aggression towards him, as if he coveted his samsara, but his intuition told him that there was no malice in Bai Ye. Recalling Yahiko's evaluation of Byakuya, Nagato breathed a sigh of relief and asked Byakuya, "Yahiko asked me to come over to assist you. Please inform me if there is anything." Bai Ye nodded slightly and led Nagato to the temporary base. Conan in the temporary base was still busy making detonating talismans. When he noticed Nagato's arrival, he quickly stood up. They exchanged glances with each other, and after noticing the confusion in each other's eyes, they looked at Bai Ye aside. "Byakuya, Nagato is here. Can you tell us the content of the mission now?" Bai Ye did not immediately answer Xiaonan's doubts, but asked instead, "Senior Xiaonan, we have stayed in Xiao Village for a week. What do you think of this village?" Xiaonan frowned and expressed his thoughts. "It is peaceful in Xiao Village. Although the Kingdom of Grass is still at war, at least there is peace in Xiao Village. The outside world does not seem to affect here. Moreover, the villagers and ninjas get along very harmoniously, which is something that the Kingdom of Rain cannot achieve." Bai Ye nodded slightly, then looked at Nagato. "Senior Nagato, what do you think?" Nagato was stunned for a moment, and then said, "I think Kusanagi village is also very good. It would be great if the Kingdom of Rain in the future can be so peaceful. However, when I walked from the Kingdom of Rain, the villagers along the way had a very uncomfortable life." "Good." After receiving the answer from Nagato, Bai Ye didn't say much. After waving to the two of them, he jumped out of the window and took advantage of the night to arrive near the secret room where Huali was imprisoned. Crouching in the shadows, Bai Ye pointed to the secret room in the distance and said, "The mission, Senior Conan, Senior Nagato, our goal is to rescue a girl named Karen and recruit her into the organization." Hearing this, Xiaonan showed a surprised look. Bai Ye usually never thought about recruiting people from the Akatsuki organization. Why did he change his mind this time? Compared with Xiaonan, Nagato didn't have so many thoughts and asked directly, "What are the characteristics of Karen, such as hair color, appearance, etc.?" "Huali's hair is red, and her body will heal quickly even if she is injured. It is a very valuable ability." After hearing the information about Karen, Nagato and Conan were stunned for a moment. Aren't these the characteristics of Nagato? Could it be that the person Byakuya wanted to save was related to Nagato? Yes, Karen is a relative of Nagato. After that disaster, he was one of the Uzumaki ninjas who wandered in the ninja world. Bai Ye didn't hide it, and directly revealed Huali's true identity. Byakuya's words silenced Nagato. He thought of his parents and triggered memories of his past. When he was a child, his mother would always talk to him about the perished Uzumaki country. Without thinking any more, Nagato took the initiative and asked, "Byakuya, what is our plan?" Bai Ye nodded, took out the defense map of Chaoin village, and told his plan. "I have prepared several paper clones in Chaoin village in advance. As long as there is some movement at midnight, we can." Huali was rescued. After hearing the plan, both Xiaonan and Nagato were a little embarrassed. Bai Ye's plan is simple and clear. The only question is, do they have the ability to rescue Huali? There were no less than 10 ninjas lurking around the secret room alone, and there were even Jounin among them. This was a huge pressure on their team. Moreover, in case their operation fails, the identity of the Rain Ninja is exposed. Are you really not going to provoke a war between the Kingdom of Grass and the Kingdom of Rain? Looking at the hesitant two people, Bai Ye said helplessly, "Senior Xiaonan, Senior Nagato, do you have misunderstandings about your own strength? Both seniors are very strong Jounin, and we also have the Rinnegan here." Nagato shook his head. "Yahiko won't let me use the Rinnegan. If these eyes are exposed, it will cause a lot of trouble for the organization. Kill all the witnesses so that the Samsara Eye will not be exposed." Bai Ye's advice was simple and clear. Nagato's eyes widened, finally understanding why Yahiko said Byakuya was too extreme. Byakuya smiled softly. "Of course this method is impossible, but since Nagato-senpai possesses the Rinnegan Eye, sooner or later he will use the power of the Rinnegan Eye. Rather than being forced to use the Samsara Eye, it is better to take the initiative in advance to avoid losing more important things." Byakuya's words were very philosophical and made Nagato think. After reacting, Nagato realized something was wrong. "By saying so much, didn't you just ask me to use the power of the Samsara Eye? I know, when in danger, I will use the Samsara Eye." At midnight, Nagato, who had waited patiently for several hours, finally took off his goggles, revealing his Rinnegan. In order to avoid exposing his identity, Nagato disguised his Samsara Eye during the journey from the Land of Rain to the Kyuzakure village. Even his hair color was covered up and dyed in other colors. The moment he took off his goggles, even Bai Ye felt a little excited. This is the legendary Samsara Eye. The pupil technique contained in it is comparable to a forbidden technique alone. It can be said that as long as you get the Samsara Eye, you will have the threshold to enter the sixth path. Not many people can resist the temptation of the Samsara Eye, even Bai Ye, but reason defeated the temptation, and Bai Ye knew that the Samsara Eye was not so easy to obtain. First of all, these eyes belonged to Uchiha Madara. At this period, Uchiha Madara did not die of old age. If he stared at the Rinnegan eyes, he would be targeted by this former ninja Shura. Secondly, the holder of the Samsara Eye will also pay a price for this power. If you want to transplant the Samsara Eye, you must have strong vitality. Either he has a complete Uzumaki bloodline, or his body has been transformed by Hashirama cells. Otherwise, even if the reincarnation eye is transplanted, it will be drained directly. However, I am different from others. As long as he can help Nagato improve his strength, he might gain abilities related to the Samsara Eye. Half of the Uzumaki bloodline in his body came from Nagato. Nagato was already used to Bai Ye's scorching gaze. Even teacher Jiraiya couldn't move his eyes away after seeing the Rinnegan Eye. After all, the last person who had these eyes was the legendary sage of six paths. Chapter 12 Naive Nagato. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Because both Nagato and Byakuya have Uzumaki bloodline, they have supersensory abilities. The three people's infiltration process went very smoothly, and they easily arrived at a building near the secret room. They squatted in the shadows and overheard the conversation between the grass ninjas. "Tell me why the higher-ups want to bring back this red-haired woman. There is no need for Jinchuriki transplants in the village. If the Konoha ninja village discovers her, it might cause unnecessary trouble. The alliance between Konoha and the Uzumaki kingdom was broken decades ago, and this woman is extremely valuable. Her blood can replace medical ninjutsu, and it has no side effects. As long as we draw her blood regularly, we can sell it for a lot of money. Will frequent blood draws have an impact on her health? Of course, that's why we are asked to take good care of her. But in an emergency, who can take care of her so much? Compared to the medical supplies that need to be paid for, her blood is more cost-effective. I heard that in order to continue the bloodline of the Uzumaki clan, they are planning to find someone to fall in love with her. As long as she is tricked into getting married and having a child, a few years later, she can give birth to a useful medical tool. Would this be too cruel for her? How could it be? She took the initiative to seek asylum. If the village took her in, she should show her due value. Otherwise, why would the village protect her, a remnant of the Whirlpool? That the conversation between the grass ninjas made Conan look ugly, and Nagato directly entered the Red Worm state. Originally, he was hesitant about this rescue, worried that their actions would be unnecessary. Maybe Uzumaki Karen was living a good life in Kyuzakure village and did not need any interference from them. Now it seems that he was too naive. Byakuya saw through Nagato's thoughts and said in a faint tone, "Senior Nagato, you don't imagine that there will really be a village in the ninja world that accepts Uzumaki ninjas. They will only use Uzumaki ninjas to drain the last value of Uzumaki. Even Konoha is no exception. They didn't help when the country of Uzumaki was invaded. When they are short of Jinchuriki, they will think of Uzumaki ninjas again. After all, Uzumaki ninjas are the best candidates for Jinchuriki." After hearing Bai Ye's words, Nagato's defenses were a little broken. Byakuya is right. There are no villages in the ninja world that accept Uzumaki. The only exception is the Akatsuki organization established by Yahiko. He wants to help Karen escape from the clutches of the clutches and then invite her to the Akatsuki organization. Xiaonan on the side felt that something was wrong. Byakuya also knew the Uzumaki clan too well, and when he mentioned Konoha and the country of Uzumaki, he felt resentful. Okay, stop talking. When are we going to do it? Should you go first or me first? Nagato took a deep breath, always ready to take action. Bai Ye shook his head and glanced at the Chaoin building in the distance. Leave the rescue operation to you. I'm just a clone here. The main body has other things to complete. What's the matter? It will be kept secret for now and will not affect your actions. Bai Ye smiled mysteriously, and in the next moment, his body turned into countless pieces of paper and disappeared on the spot. Nagato recognized the ninjutsu used by Byakuya and asked doubtfully, "Conan, isn't this your paper release? When did Byakuya learn it? Are we going to sneak in like this later?" Xiaonan fell silent, and the air was so quiet that it was scary. Faced with this strange atmosphere, Nagato did not dare to say anything more and silently followed Conan. A few minutes later, when a violent explosion sounded in the distance, Xiaonan gritted his teeth and said, "Bai Ye is a stronger paper escape genius than me. I haven't mastered the ability to fly yet. Let that guy divert his attention and die. Let's go over and save people now." After saying that, dozens of pieces of paper appeared next to Xiaonan, covered with the incantations of detonating talismans. Under Xiaonan's control, they flew directly towards the Kusanagi. With a roar, the grass ninja responsible for surveillance was directly overwhelmed by the fire. The other grass ninjas had no time to react and were dealt with by Nagato, who was hiding in the dark. Due to the restrictions imposed by Yahiko, Nagato rarely uses the power of the Rinnegan, but this does not mean that his strength is weak. Simply relying on the physical fitness of the Uzumaki bloodline, Nagato can explode into the strength of a Jounin. While Conan and Nagato attacked the prison, after completing the feint attack, Byakuya quietly arrived near the Kyuzugakure building, facing the paper clone that was waiting outside Kyuzakure village and using the detonating talisman to delay the attack. Kyuzugakure sent most of the ninjas to deal with the attack. Even the leader of Kyuzugakure village was no exception. After passing by the leader of Kyuzugakure village, Bai Ye walked into the Kusakakure building calmly. After adapting to the Uzumaki bloodline and preparing a large number of detonating symbols in advance, he was confident that he could gain an advantage over any ninja below the shadow level in a one-on-one situation. As for the shadow level powerhouse, there are no shadow level experts in Chaoin village. If he were not worried about accidents such as overturning the car, he would not need Nagato to come for support. Together with Conan, it would be enough to rescue Uzumaki Karen, who was imprisoned in Kyuzakure village. Of course, if he were to challenge hundreds of ninjas in Kyuzakure village alone, forget it. With a loud bang, after using the detonating talisman to blast open the wall of the building, Bai Ye came to the secret room where the ninjutsu scrolls were stored. Looking at the neat ninjutsu scrolls on the bookshelf, the corners of his mouth gradually curved. As a wall-mounted ninja village that wavers between major powers, Kyuzuken village also has a certain background. For example, there are a dazzling array of copycat ninjutsu in this secret room. These ninjutsu are based on the powerful ninjutsu of major ninja villages and are imitated and modified ninjutsu. Stealing these copycat secrets was one of the reasons why Byakuya waited for Nagato's support. With his own strength, he could not rescue Uzumaki Karen and attack the Kyuzugakure building at the same time. At the moment, while he is sharing the pressure for Nagato and Konan, Nagato and Konan are also sharing the pressure for him, buying time for him to take away these ninjutsu scrolls, and these ninjutsu scrolls will become an important boost to the development of the Akatsuki organization in the future. The Akatsuki organization will not be able to grow and develop simply by relying on passion. A suitable reward and punishment system must be established. Yahiko, the leader of the Akatsuki organization, must think of things that he cannot think of in advance. After packing the ninjutsu scroll, Byakuya silently left the Kyuzugakure building. Chapter 13. Welcome to the Xiao organization. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just when Bai Ye was about to call it a day and leave, he met the leader of Kyuzugakure on the street. Originally, the leader of Kyuzugakure village planned to go directly to support his subordinates, but halfway there, he suspected that the enemy might launch an attack on Kyuzugakure building, so he hurried back with his guards. Seeing Byakuya carrying a large sack, leader Kyuzugakure approached with his bodyguards. He first looked at Bai Ye's appearance, and then looked at the sack behind Bai Ye. He felt that this was a thief taking advantage of the situation, so he frowned and asked. "Hey, kid over there, what are you doing?" Bai Ye was stunned for a moment, and then showed a guilty look. "Master Xiaoying, there was a big commotion in the village just now, so I wanted to come out and take a look, but I bumped into you." Hearing Kyuzukui's address, the Kyuzukure leader nodded with satisfaction and waved his hand for Byakuya to leave. Strictly speaking, only the leaders of the 5 great ninja villages are qualified to be called Kage, but who would refuse a compliment? At least he felt comfortable when he heard Lord Kyuzuch. After Bai Ye left, the guard beside him said hesitantly, "Master Leader, could he be the attacker?" The leader of the Grass Shadow said earnestly, "Takemura, you are still too suspicious. This kind of kid is obviously here to steal and educate, so how can he be a ninja who attacked the village?" But even he couldn't find the attacker, let alone this young-looking brat. In his opinion, the ninjas who attacked the village this time had at least the strength of elite jounin, and were either from Konoha or Iwagakure. The purpose was to force Kusugakure to take sides through the attack, but it is impossible for him to completely side with the team. Kyuzukure village will only stand on the winning side. At this time, the ninjas left behind in the Kyuzugakure building ran over to report the situation. When he heard that the Chaoin village building had been attacked by a young boy, the leader of Chaoin village seemed to have remembered something and hurried towards the main street. The young man from before had disappeared, leaving only a note with mocking words. The leader of Chaoin village immediately understood that Bai Ye was the mastermind behind the attack. Thinking of his confident self just now, his face instantly darkened. This time he lost a lot of face. Somewhere on the top of a mountain outside Chaoin village, with Byakuya attracting firepower, Nagato and Konan didn't waste much time before escaping from Kyuzukure village with Kari. After throwing away the pursuers and confirming that there were no enemies within the sensing range, Nagato and Konan arrived at the meeting point. Recalling the previous battle, Nagato and Konan were slightly scared. Although the two of them have strength beyond ordinary jounin, they don't have much actual combat experience. When they stayed in the Hidden Rain village before, they encountered traitorous ninjas from the Kingdom of Rain, and they could easily crush them with numerical values. But after arriving at Chaoin village, although their values were still very high, the gap between the two sides was narrowed. Facing these merciless grass ninjas, they fought very hard. They were injured several times because they were not decisive enough. After encountering the pursuit team led by Jonin, they were once in a life-and-death crisis. If Nagato hadn't used the Shinra Tensei to defeat the Kyuzugakure jounin, they would have been at risk of being left behind in Kyuzugakure village. However, looking back on the specific process of this battle, they seem to have grown a lot. In the face of those grass ninjas blocking the way, Konan could throw out the detonating talisman without mercy. Seeing the enemy drown in the flames of the detonating talisman, Nagato also began to use the Shinra Tensei to kill people, and several lives were stained on his hands. I just don't know whether this kind of growth is good or bad. Putting back his thoughts that were gradually diverging, Nagato thought of Byakuya who had attracted firepower for them, and looked at Konan aside. Konan, Byakuya hasn't come here at this time. Will something happen to him? Konan thought of the scene of Byakuya killing wandering ninjas, and shook her head slightly. Byakuya is probably the strongest ninja in the organization. The only one who can surpass him is Nagato in an angry state. Even they can escape from the chaotic Kusanagi village, and it is impossible for Byakuya to be inside. Instead of thinking wildly, it is better to wait silently for the return of the White Knight. Not long after, Byakuya appeared in front of Nagato and Konan. Looking at Bai Ye holding the sack, Nagato asked curiously, "What do you have in this?" "Ninjutsu scrolls and some curios collected in Kusanagaku's office." Bai Ye put the sack on the ground, placed the ninjutsu scroll in front of the two of them, and said generously, "You guys should come over and take a look to see if there are any ninjutsu you want to learn." Nagato and Konan did not take the ninjutsu scroll, and looked at Byakuya and began to doubt life. They were worried about something happening to Byakuya just now, but the next moment Byakuya appeared in front of them with ninjutsu scrolls. These ninjutsu scrolls were the trophies of breaking into the Kusagaku building. At this moment, the two of them deeply agreed with Yahiko's words about Byakuya. Byakuya was indeed too extreme. Don't forget it. If you want to learn it again in the future, it won't be that simple. Seeing that Nagato and Konan were ignorant, Byakuya didn't bother to pay attention to them anymore. After putting away the ninjutsu scroll, he looked at Karen who was aside. Karen was almost like Karen without glasses. He was absolutely sure that this was Karen's mother. It's just unclear whether Huali's character is the same as Xiangfo's, with the attributes of a slut. While Bai Ye looked at Huali, Huali was also quietly paying attention to the boy who suddenly appeared. Carrie didn't know these three people at all. She only knew that Nagato and Konan suddenly broke into the prison and took her out of the prison. During the process, they also found many syringes in the cell next to them, which seemed to be their own blood. The only thing that can be confirmed is that the red-haired Nagato seems to come from the Whirlpool like himself. She had never heard of the other two people at all, and even if they were Nagato, a member of the tribe, Carrie was still unfamiliar with them. From the time she could remember, she had never seen any of her tribe members possess the pupil technique blood inheritance limit. After the two sides looked at each other, Huali lowered her head proactively, not daring to continue to look at Bai Ye. Seeing this scene, Bai Ye nodded with satisfaction. Judging from her expression and posture, Huali has a clarity that is not contaminated by knowledge, and she looks very innocent. When he saw himself, there was a trace of panic in his eyes. He was obviously not a crazy person like Xiangli, but more like a naturally stupid type, but he did not rule out the possibility of being disguised. However, whether it is disguised or natural, in the original timeline, after Karen gave birth to a daughter in the future, she would be drained of her life force and die because of the greed of Kusanagi. And her daughter Xiang Lian, had she not been lucky enough to meet Orochimaru, there is a high probability that she would have had a similar fate. He sometimes wondered whether, due to years of torture, he had developed masochistic and nymphomaniac qualities and had become the Stockholm patient. Otherwise, why would he act so crazy when facing Sasuke? However, for those in power, it is very comfortable to have employees who are willing to do anything, even to death. Bai Ye also wants to have a few subordinates like this. At least he doesn't have to worry about backstabbing. I just don't know if it's still too late to abuse me now. For example, let the other person go at this moment, and then invite the other person to join the Akatsuki organization after experiencing inhuman torture. A person who has lost hope will cherish those who are kind to her and develop a strong sense of dependence. After putting away the random thoughts in his mind, Bai Ye stretched out his hand towards Huali. I am Bai Ye from the Akatsuki organization. You are welcome to join the Akatsuki organization and become one of us. Chapter 14 Bai Ye's Life Experience. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The process of inviting Huali to join the Xiao organization went very smoothly. After Bai Ye extended the invitation, Huali directly joined the Akatsuki organization. Such a straightforward agreement made Bai Ye wonder if he had any charisma, or if he had mastered the ultimate illusion technique, Bitianzue. But if you think about it carefully, There is a high probability that Carrie had no choice but to join the Akatsuki organization. Huali herself was a subjugated citizen of the Whirlpool country. It was difficult for a village to accept her, but the next moment she was forcibly taken out of Xiao village by Bai Ye and others. Rather than continue wandering in the ninja world, it is better to join this organization that I have never heard of. At least there are other clansmen in this organization who should be able to accept the Uzumaki ninja. System prompt. The Akatsuki organization adds a Uzumaki ninja and will be rewarded with Uzumaki bloodline, half. Bai Ye didn't have time to care about Huali's thoughts. His attention was attracted by the system prompts. After casually finding an excuse to leave, he hid in the woods, opened the system panel, and clicked on the reward, name, Bai Ye, age, 12 years old, current bound organization, Akatsuki organization, chakra attributes, water, wind, yang, ninjutsu, 3 body technique, basic kunai throwing technique, wind release, great breakthrough, water release, water wave, paper release, basic, explosive talisman creation technique, blood inheritance limit, none, bloodline, whirlpool bloodline, personal evaluation, Jonin can easily crush ordinary ninjas, but in front of a truly strong person, even the chance of escape is very slim. The content on the panel has not changed much, the only thing that has changed is the bloodline column. The original word, half, has disappeared, replaced by the complete Uzumaki bloodline. Now he can call himself a Uzumaki descendant openly and has the qualifications to become a Jinchuriki and contribute to the ninja village. After closing the system panel, Bai Ye began to appreciate the improvement brought by his bloodline. In addition to physical fitness and chakra volume, what Bai Ye increased the most was his perception. In the past, his range of perception was only 300 meters. But now it has expanded to about 1,000 meters. In complex environments, it will be weakened to varying degrees, however, it is enough for him now, and he will become stronger in the future. After testing his perception ability, Byakuya began to test the amount of chakra again, and it was confirmed that the chakra in his body had increased by about twice, which was considered a lot among Jounin. Suddenly, Bai Ye seemed to have thought of something, and took out the forehead protector he carried with him. After seeing himself reflected in the mirror, his hair still black, he felt relieved. It seems that my hair will not change due to the change of bloodline, everything is the same as before. At least you don't have to worry about the face of the first Hokage suddenly appearing on your body after receiving reward such as would release. That would be too scary and completely unacceptable. He is not the Uchiha Dance King. Use your perception ability to confirm that there are no enemies around for several kilometers. Bai Ye returned to the temporary camp with the prey, preparing to make a fire to cook and end the tiring day. Just as he sat down on the stone, Bai Ye noticed Huali's gaze. Ever since entering the camp, Huali had been staring at him quietly without even looking away. Bai Ye found out after he stepped forward and asked, while he was out hunting. Nagato and Konan told Karen in the chat that he was the initiator of this operation, and also informed Kusakaku how he planned to use Karen. When he learned that Xiao village was going to squeeze him out and turn him into a fertility machine, Huali's expression changed on the spot. She was prepared to pay a price for staying in Xiao village, but she didn't expect that the price was beyond her ability to bear. She could accept the grass ninja using her for treatment, but she couldn't accept being pregnant with a stranger's child, and when the child is born, he will still become a medical machine in the village just like her. Therefore, after knowing all this, Huali felt nothing but gratitude towards Bai Ye, thanking Bai Ye for helping her escape from the Devil's Cave-in. Xiao village, of course, the most important thing is that he can feel a faint sense of closeness from these people. In the following period, Nagato, Konan and Carrie exchanged their experiences with each other. After learning that Xiaonan and Nagato were also orphans, the distance between them became much closer. We are all poor people who have lost their loved ones, and they can only hug each other for warmth. However, what made Byakuya unbearable the most was that Nagato imitated him and said that Carrie was too naive. At this time, Carrie asked evasively, "Senior Byakuya, are you alone like Konan and Nagato-senpai?" These words sounded very much like swearing, but Bai Ye was unable to refute. He doesn't know the original identity, and he really doesn't know who his parents are. To a certain extent, he is indeed an orphan. However, this did not prevent him from fabricating the identity of a Whirlpool orphan. Thinking of this, Bai Ye nodded. when I was very young, my parents disappeared. Except for the books left at home that can prove their ninja status, I can't remember other things. But after that, I went through a lot of things. Because my parents were missing, the kids in the neighborhood bullied me. I didn't have any parents to bandage me after I was injured. Once, after the village was extorted by bandits, they sent me out as a priest. When I was in the bandits' den, if I hadn't pretended to be cowardly, I would have been killed long ago. However, I later learned how to refine chakra and became a ninja. On the first day I became a ninja, I killed the bandits with my own hands, and I have been wandering in the country of rain ever since. Until I joined the Akatsuki organization. When Byakuya told about his experience, Nagato and Konan also joined in. After hearing about Byakuya's experiences before joining the Akatsuki organization, the two fell into silence. Compared with Byakuya, they were undoubtedly luckier. Although they also lost their parents, they had a companion, Teacher Jiraiya. The 3 years they spent with Teacher Jiraiya were the happiest 3 years for them. At that time, Bai Ye had no companions and no teacher to provide protection, so he could only rely on himself. Perhaps this is the reason why Bai Ye does not trust wandering ninjas. Bai Ye has experienced more darkness than they imagined. After listening to Bai Ye's past, Huali was silent for a long time. She thought her experience was enough to make her homeless, but the White Knight was even more miserable, and she couldn't help but feel sad. However, after experiencing so much, Bai Ye still survived and was even able to help herself. Is this the difference between her and Bai Ye? Seeing Karen, Nagato and Konan all fall into silence, Byakuya sighed softly and said, "The past is past, and our future is bright. However, when enjoying the warmth brought by our companions and organizations, we should not forget the original appearance of the world and be less naive." Chapter 15. Want to sell a favor? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early next morning, Byakuya got up early, packed up his things, and took Nagato and others back to the land of rain. After a night of chatting, the distance between them has obviously become much closer. Even Carrie has adapted to her identity as an Akatsuki member and actively uses her sensory abilities to explore the way. Byakuya, who had saved a lot of energy, walked behind the team and thought about the future of the Akatsuki organization. In the original timeline, the Akatsuki organization was originally a peaceful organization. After the death of Yahiko, it gradually developed into a mercenary group. The Akatsuki organization of that period completely abandoned Yahiko's ideas, in order to achieve the goal of collecting tailed beasts and creating 10 tails to deter the ninja world. The Akatsuki organization recruited many powerful rebellious ninjas, including mad scientists like Scorpion and Orochimaru, in order to raise funds. The Akatsuki organization took on all kinds of shady commissions on the black market. Among them, there are many extreme commissions such as assassinating elite jounin, daimyo from various countries, and provoking wars. With his current strength, it is not too difficult to transition to the Nagato period. As long as he stays with Konan and Nagato, he will not become a sacrifice for Pain's birth, but if it really gets to that point, the Akatsuki organization will suffer heavy losses, and its own strength will be greatly affected. Therefore, we must find a way to prevent the destruction of the Akatsuki organization from happening. In the original timeline, Sancho Hanzo actually paid attention to the Akatsuki organization very early, but he just believed that the Akatsuki organization was not a threat, so he never took any action or even sent anyone to contact him. The turning point of everything was when Danzo started a war on the border and discovered Nagato's Rinnegan. In order to obtain the reincarnation eye, Danzo instigated Hanzo to get rid of the Akatsuki organization. Hanzo actually followed Danzo's advice and set up a hangmen banquet to invite Yahiko, while Obito took the opportunity to backstab the Akatsuki organization. As a result, the Akatsuki organization lost most of its members, and Hanzo lost his elite regiment. It was Obito who got the biggest benefit, and Obito successfully became the mastermind behind the Akatsuki organization. To avoid all of this from happening, in addition to reminding Yahiko at critical moments, the more important thing is to improve the strength of the Akatsuki organization. As long as the Akatsuki organization really has the power to subvert Amigakure village, Sanshuyu Hanzo also needs to consider whether he has the strength to set up a hangmen banquet. Danzo also has to worry about retaliation from the Akatsuki organization. if you want to improve the strength of the Akatsuki organization, you must normalize the Akatsuki organization and exist as a shinobi village, not just a peaceful organization that can come and go freely. In order to build this Choutai team, Bai Ye has collected a lot of ninjutsu. After returning to the Akatsuki organization can move forward on the road to normalization until it controls the entire Rain country. Just as Byakuya was calculating the development path of the Akatsuki organization, Nagato and others in front suddenly stopped. Byakuya walked forward in confusion, only to see two old acquaintances, the genius boy Kakashi and the Uchiha Crane. Tail Obito, the two of them were confronting Nagato and Konan, and the atmosphere was slightly tense. Kakashi's genius name is famous throughout the ninja world. Obito on the side also has his Sharingan turned on. The two double Magatama Sharingan are extremely conspicuous in the sunlight. The appearance of the genius boy and the Uchiha ninja put a lot of pressure on Nagato and Konan. Kakashi and Obito were also under a lot of pressure. They had just teamed up to kill a Jounin, and their physical strength had declined extremely seriously. Kakashi even lost an eye. As for the ninja in front of him, he felt that he was very powerful just by looking at him, but the other party blocked their only path and could not pass directly. At this time, Byakuya also noticed Kakashi's blind left eye and Obito's double Magatama Sharingan, and couldn't help but frown. Judging from the timeline of the original work, Obito opened his Sharingan not long ago. He would be buried alive because of an accident. Finally, after giving the Sharingan to Kakashi, and witnessing the death of Nohara Rin, he completely became Uchiha Madara's pawn and transformed into a new Uchiha Madara. This was not a good sign. It meant that time for him and the Akatsuki organization was running out. Taking a step forward, Byakuya showed a slightly puzzled expression and asked, "Kakashi Hatake, we meet again. It seems that you have grown a lot these days, but where is the female companion beside you?" After seeing Byakuya's figure, Kakashi Hatake's heart skipped a beat. If they could still leave peacefully when they met Xiao Nan, they couldn't say that when they met Bai Ye. After the mission ended that day, Minato-sensei once told him that Byakuya found Minato-sensei hiding in the dark, so he took the initiative to evacuate. This time, without Minato-sensei around them, the situation was very dangerous. Trying to calm down, Kakashi finally decided to tell the truth. Lin was captured by the IWA ninja, and Obito and I were planning to go there to rescue. Is this so? Bai Ye touched his chin without any intention of moving away. Obito on the side was already impatient and was about to go straight past Byakuya and the others and chase in the direction where IWA ninja left, but was stopped by Carry, who indicated with his eyes. "What do you want to do, with IWA ninja?" Obito turned around and shouted angrily, as if he was about to launch the Sharingan Genjutsu against Byakuya at the next moment. Seeing that the atmosphere was about to become even more tense, Bai Ye shook his head and said, "I don't want to stop you from rescuing your comrades. I'm just here to ask, do you need support?" Hearing this, the angry Obito was stunned, and Kakashi was also stunned. Nagato and others also looked at Byakuya with incredulous eyes. Byakuya must have wanted to recruit new members again, but the other party was wearing a Konoha forehead protector. How could he recruit people from Konoha? Really? Obito was very happy. No matter who he was, as long as he was willing to save Nohara Rin, he would be his friend. Kakashi was not as naive as Obito, and asked instead, "What price do we need to pay? The Hidden Rain village will not help us for no reason." Kakashi thought of many things, such as Sancho Hanzo, who wanted to form an alliance with Konoha, and wanted to contact teacher Minato and Uchiha through his relationship with others, and then contact other Konoha senior officials. Accepting the commission naturally requires compensation, but now you have no choice. Bai Ye glanced at the forest in the distance and reminded, "Judging from the traces left now, the group of rock ninjas have left here for more than an hour. If they don't make a decision, they won't have much time left. What exactly do you need?" Kakashi asked insistently. Byakuya sighed, spread his hands and said, "We need goodwill from Konoha, nothing else. Of course, the most important thing is that I want to sell Namake's Minato a favor." Chapter 16 The Strength of Double Magatama Obito. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing Namake's Minato's name, Kakashi secretly thought that it was true. The last time he met Bai Ye and others, the other party recognized their identities and discovered Minato-sensei hiding in the dark. This time, they revealed their identities and took the initiative to provide help. In normal times, Kakashi would definitely reject Byakuya and others' proposal, but now he seems to have no power to refuse. After deliberation for a moment, as the captain, Kakashi accepted Byakuya's proposal and asked Byakuya and others to join the rescue team of Nohara Rin and head towards the depths of the forest. While on the road, Kakashi finally had time to pay attention to the members of Byakuya team. He had met Byakuya and Konan within half a month. They were both elite ninjas with great strength. However, the hair color and eyebrow angles of Nagato and Kari gave a strong sense of familiarity, as if they had seen them somewhere before. Especially after Nagato showed his powerful perception ability, the sense of déjà vu became even more serious. Isn't this the same as Mrs. Kushina? Could it be that these two people are also from the Uzumaki clan? Unexpectedly, the demigod sitting in Yuin village secretly took in the survivors of the kingdom of Whirlpool and asked them to serve the kingdom of Rain. Compared with Kakashi, Obito is much docile. In Obito's view, whether they are Konoha's companions or ninjas from the land of Rain, as long as they help him rescue Nohara Rin, they are all his friends, even if Byakuya has a very bad attitude and has never looked at him. Seriously, Byakuya, who was walking behind the team, looked at the backs of Kakashi and Obito, thoughtfully. On the way back to the land of Rain, he met Kakashi and Obito, who had experienced the Kanabi Bridge incident. It was an unexpected incident for Byakuya, but joining their team to rescue Nohara Rin was a decision made after careful consideration. He did not expect to be able to change the conspiracy that happened to Obito through this incident, but I hope that through this operation, I can delay the time when Obito is buried alive and then turn black and become stronger, and at the same time test whether Uchiha Madara saved Obito by coincidence or if he had planned it in advance. In any case, the innocent double Magatama Obito is definitely much cuter than Kamui Obito right now. Like a defeated dog that wants nothing, it poses no threat. As for killing Obito in advance, he also hopes that after Obito turns black, he will recruit Obito into the Akatsuki organization to earn gold coins. He will not conduct such a high-risk, low-yield operation. About half an hour later, Byakuya's group, Kakashi, and Obito found the IWA ninja's hiding place. The anxious Obito was about to rush in when Byakuya stopped him behind him and said calmly, "Uchiha boy, don't be so impulsive. Who knows how many people are ambushing inside and how many traps have been laid?" Kakashi also echoed, "The Rain Ninja captain over there is right, Obito, you are still a little too impatient. Just call me Bai Ye." After saying this, Bai Ye looked at Nagato aside and asked directly, "Nagato, can you estimate how many ninjas are inside?" "There are 3 people. Judging from the amount of chakra, 2 of them are similar to our Kakashi Jounin. The other one has very little chakra. He should be a companion of Kakashi and Obito." After a pause, Nagato added, "In addition, there are many traps set up in the cave, but I don't know what the specific traps are." Hearing this, Kakashi rolled his eyes, but now was not the time to dwell on this. Judging from the number of enemies and the arrangement of boundaries in advance, this was obviously a trap set for him and Obito. If Bai Ye had not accepted Bai Ye's proposal just now, their battle would have been a disaster. As a professional jonin, Kakashi quickly formulated a plan for a surprise attack, then he and Obito rushed directly into the underground cave. After Bai Ye glanced at Nagato and others beside him, he quickly followed behind. Not long after, they saw the 2 Iwagakure jonin, Demon Leech and Huguang, who had been waiting for a long time underground. At this time, Demon Leech and Huguang were confronting Kakashi and Obito. They were even more excited when they saw Obito's double Magatama Sharingan, and a smile appeared on their lips as if their plan was successful. To Iwagakure, Nohara Rin was a medical ninja who needed special care, but in terms of kill value, it cannot compare to Kakashi. Kakashi, who became a jonin at the age of 12, is likely to become the new White Fang of Konoha in the future, posing a great threat to Iwagakure village. Although Obito's value is not as good as Kakashi's, he is also a genius Uchiha with double Magatama. Killing a future elite jonin in advance is not bad. Just when Demon Leech and Huguang were about to take action, Bai Ye and others also appeared in front of them. After seeing the way Yunin protected their foreheads, their faces instantly became solemn. This was completely different from their expected plan. Why did the Rain Ninja intervene in the battle between Konoha and Iwagakure? Hey, you guys! When Demon Leech was about to say something, Kakashi and Obito had already launched an attack first. After throwing out the kunai as a feint attack, Obito formed seals with his hands, his chest expanded instantly, and then a ball of condensed flames spurted out. Art Fire Escape Ho Fireball, that the fireball accurately hit the ground in the distance, and the fire produced illuminated the entire underground space. With the help of the faint light, Kakashi found Lin, who was tied up in the corner, and was ready to look for opportunities to rescue Lin directly. This was the best choice when his side had a numerical advantage. At this time, the Fire Jounin noticed Kakashi's thoughts and used the teleportation technique to disappear. The next moment, he stopped directly in front of Kakashi. The dagger in his hand burst out with a cold light. He fought with Kakashi and successfully suppressed him. Seeing that both Kakashi and Obito were in a hard fight, Byakuya waved his hand and asked Nagato and others to join the battle. Bai Ye walked towards Nohara Rin in a hurry and came to Nohara Rin's side, wielding the kunai to cut off the rope, and tearing off the tape and blindfold on Nohara Rin's face. Byakuya began to carefully examine the girl who haunted Obito. Judging from her appearance, she is pretty, and she has a girl next door. Temperament, which makes her a white moonlight. Nohara Rin, who regained her sight, was stunned for a moment, and then noticed Byakuya in front of her and Kakashi and Obito fighting in the distance. As if she thought of something, she quickly reminded. Don't come over here. Everything down here is full of detonating symbols. They will explode as soon as I leave. Before Nohara Rin finished speaking, Byakuya had already hugged Nohara Rin, and the detonating talisman under his feet was instantly activated, triggering a violent explosion on the spot, and both of them were drowned in the fire. Noticing this scene, Kakashi and Obito looked startled, and Nagato and Kari also looked nervous. Only Konan was expressionless. She knew very well the ability of the paper escape ninja. The Demon Leech and the Fire Jounin took the opportunity to launch an attack. After being dodged, they mocked, that Rain Ninja boy and the medical ninja have probably been blown to pieces by now. Upon hearing this, Obito's eyes turned red and he immediately activated the Sharingan Genjutsu, but the magic leech didn't give him a chance to use illusions at all. He came to Obito's side in an instant and kicked Obito away with one kick. Obito got up with difficulty after eating mud, and wanted to avenge Nohara Rin. At this moment, the smoke and dust generated by the explosion fell to the ground. Two unscathed figures appeared in everyone's field of vision, still in the posture of Byakuya carrying out a princess hug to Nohara Rin. Chapter 17 Bai Ye's Invitation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Deep underground, the white-haired Uchiha Madara is observing the battle with Obito through the projection of white Zetsu. As early as after transplanting the Samsara Eye to Nagato, Uchiha Madara has been paying attention to Konoha, hoping to select a suitable successor from the Uchiha of Konoha, as a pawn to monitor Nagato and implement the Moon Eye plan after his death. For this day, he chose the kind-hearted Uchiha Obito early, and observed Obito for several years, and finally confirmed him as his successor. After confirming that Obito could inherit the name of Uchiha Madara began to create opportunities. Finally, a week ago, Uchiha Madara found this opportunity, and by controlling the Rock Ninja, Obito fell into a state of suspended animation, and then sent White Zetsu to rescue, completing the subjugation of Obito, and guiding Obito step by step into the darkness. But at this time, Uchiha Madara noticed Bai Ye and others who broke into the battle. The appearance of Bai Ye and others completely disrupted his plan. Judging from the current situation, the two rock ninjas will be easily repelled, and Obito will not be in a dying state at all. If he intervenes now, it will be too late, and there is a risk of being sensed. After all, Nagato, who has transplanted the Samsara Eye, is also staying there. Although Nagato's control of the Samsara Eye is not as good as his own, he can also use some of the power of the Samsara Eye. What puzzled Uchiha Madara the most was why Nagato, who should have stayed in the Land of Rain, suddenly appeared on the battlefield of Kusagakure village. In order to find out what happened, Uchiha Madara called White Zetsu, who was responsible for monitoring Nagato's movements. Nagato left the Hidden Rain village half a month ago. He has been staying in the territory of Kusagakure village during this period. He also had a big fight with Bai Ye and Konan of the Akatsuki organization in Kusagakure village, and rescued a Uzumaki ninja. Bai Ye? Uchiha Madara looked puzzled, and then began to ask about Bai Ye's news. Byakuya is a ninja from Akatsuki. After hearing some information about Byakuya, Uchiha Madara finally understood why he had never heard of this person. Except for Nagato and Uchiha ninjas from other places were hard to catch his eye. Bai, who was a jonin, was naturally the same, and was not worth his attention at all. However, after hearing that Byakuya attacked the Kusagakure building alone and made the entire Kusagakure village run around, Uchiha Madara became more interested. After all, Byakuya was only in his teens. If he continues to grow, he may become a ninja like Hanzo of the Salamander in time. Continue to listen. After hearing Byakuya's violent treatment of stray ninjas, Uchiha Madara's eyes lit up. If it were him in the past, he would also choose to cut the grass and root it out, but unfortunately, the path he chose before was wrong, and now he has found the right path. After learning all the information, Uchiha Madara refocused on the projection, but the focus of his attention shifted from Obito to the battle itself. Since the plan failed this time, let's watch the fight between the young people. Uchiha Madara's body gradually aged after staying underground for decades, dragging this old body. Uchiha Madara didn't want to show up at all. He could only watch the projection of white Zetsu to satisfy his eyes. Maybe he could only fight after he was resurrected. On the other side, after Bai Ye rescued Nohara Rin, Kakashi and Obito finally let go of their worries, and the others also breathed a sigh of relief. Then, everyone focused their attention on Maji and Huguang. As long as they dealt with these two rock-hidden ninjas, the operation would be successfully completed. Seeing the enemy approaching step by step, Maji and Huguang looked more and more ugly. While their palms were sweating and they couldn't hold the dagger, their backs were also wet with sweat, and despair appeared in their eyes. Just the few enemies in front of them made them feel that they couldn't handle it. The scene of Bai Ye resisting the detonating talisman made them realize the strength of the enemy. These rain ninjas who supported Konoha ninjas were definitely not ordinary ninjas, at least they were jonins of the same level. In the case of a serious shortage of people, even escaping was a luxury. They seemed to have no choice but to detonate the detonating talisman above and survive. After looking at each other, the demon leech and the firelight gritted their teeth and slapped the ground together. Earth escape, earth cracking palm. Earth escape, earth flow wall. Accompanied by a low shout, smooth cracks appeared on the ground and ceiling, and then began to collapse at a very fast speed. Within a few breaths, countless boulders fell from above, which could flood the entire cave at any time. Seeing this scene, everyone present began to flee and ran towards the outside of the cave. The scene was very chaotic. In the chaos, the demon leech and the firelight did not forget to attack Kakashi and Obito, hoping to solve the genius of Konoha here. If possible, they also wanted to bring the news of the cooperation between the Rain Ninjas and Konoha back to the village. This is very important for the village. However, at this moment, detonating talismans flew in from the outside of the cave, covering the bodies of the demon leech and the firelight. As a burst of firelight lit up, the two were directly submerged in the firelight. Obviously, this was a trap set by Bai Ye outside the cave in advance. He would not let the rock ninja leave alive. 10 seconds later, everyone left the cave smoothly. Standing in the open space outside the cave, looking at the collapsing mountain in the distance, they sighed in their hearts. Such a large-scale landslide would be difficult for even an elite jonin to survive. After regaining consciousness, Nohara Rin in Bai Ye's arms said shyly, "Can you put me down? It's not very dangerous now." Bai Ye nodded and put Nohara Rin down. Seeing this scene, Obito on the side was very envious and jealous. He hadn't hugged Lin yet, but someone else had beaten him to it, but the other person was the benefactor who saved Lin. He couldn't get angry at the other person, he could only complain in his heart. Nohara Rin's face was still a little rosy when she stood on the ground again, and she smiled sheepishly at Bai Ye. "Thank you just now. If it weren't for you, I might have died." "You're welcome, that's a deal in itself." Bai Ye patted the dust on his body and said calmly, "However, after escaping from death this time, I advise you not to become a ninja. For you, becoming an ordinary person may be the best choice." Nohara Rin was a little confused, but she still nodded in front of her savior. I will seriously consider it. At this time, Obito and Kakashi came near Nohara Rin. The former greeted Nohara Rin and asked her, while the latter looked at Byakuya and asked slowly. Captain Bai, thank you for your help this time. I don't know how to thank you enough. Hearing this, Bai Ye smiled. If you have to thank me, why not join our organization? Then everyone is a companion of the same organization, and it is natural to help each other. Chapter 18 Nohara Rin who was about to give up and Minato who was belatedly arrived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If you have to express your gratitude, why not join our organization? Then we are all members of the same organization, and it is natural for us to help each other. Kakashi, Obito, and Nohara Rin were all stunned when they heard Byakuya's invitation. How can anyone invite you to change jobs in person? Not to mention that the behavior of changing jobs is considered defection. Even if you really want to defect, you will not defect to the land of rain. As the #1 ninja village in the ninja world, Konoha is better than the hidden rain village in every aspect. After pondering for a moment, Kakashi showed a helpless expression. Captain Byakuya is joking. We have no intention of leaving the village. There are people in the village who can't let go. However, if Captain Byakuya wants to visit Konoha one day, we will warmly welcome him. Obito also echoed, at that time, maybe I will have become Hokage. Do you want to become Hokage? Is there anyone in the village you can't let go of? Byakuya glanced at Kakashi and the three of them, and said with a smile, then I wish you all get what you want, but if you really can't survive in Konoha, you can come to me. I quite like to take in homeless people. Human. After saying that, Byakuya waved to Nagato and others and headed towards the land of rain. After leaving the vicinity of the rock hiding place, Nagato asked in confusion, Byakuya, why do you want to help the Konoha ninjas? They are not our companions. If he encountered an ordinary person in need of help, Nagato might not hesitate, but when it comes to fights between ninjas, especially when it comes to Konoha ninjas, Nagato becomes hesitant. Nagato's parents were killed by Konoha ninjas. It can be said that Konoha was the culprit for him becoming an orphan, but teacher Jiraiya, who gave his family warmth and played the role of a father, was also a member of Konoha ninjas. Even though he now agrees with Yahiko's philosophy, at most he just ignores the Konoha ninja, Byakuya said with a mysterious face, of course it's because of their identities. Kakashi and Obito are disciples of Konoha Jounin Namake's Minato, and Minato's teacher is Jiraiya. That's the legendary Sannin. If you can get to know Jiraiya, it won't be a loss to help him this time. After hearing Bai Ye's thoughts, Nagato and Konan both had strange expressions on their faces. They really wanted to tell Bai Ye that the big man he called was the teacher who had taught them for 3 years. Even the birth of the Akatsuki organization was related to Jiraiya's ideas. However, if you put it this way, they have some relationship with Kakashi and others. Judging from the seniority, it seems that they are still the master uncles of these people. After seeing the strange expressions on Nagato and Konan's face, Bai Ye understood that he had covered up this time. As a time traveler, he knew a lot of information, but how to give this information appropriately was a headache for him. After Byakuya left, Kakashi's hanging heart was finally relieved. He was very grateful to Bai Ye for what he had done, but the gap in strength made him uneasy. He was always worried that he would say something wrong and the two sides would become enemies. Fortunately, the other party was just joking in the end and did not force them to leave Konoha. Otherwise, given their current state, they can only agree temporarily and take it one step at a time. Touching his blind left eye, Kakashi sighed softly, took Obito and Nohara Rin, and rushed towards the country of fire. They needed to rest as soon as possible. A few hours later, Kakashi's team arrived at Konoha camp and could finally rest. After getting the medical kit, Nohara Rin first threw out a few bandages for Obito to wrap freely, and then came to Kakashi's side to treat his injuries. After careful inspection, Nohara Rin used palm senjutsu to heal Kakashi's injuries and sighed. Kakashi, you may never be able to see your left eye again. It's all my fault. If I hadn't been captured, you guys wouldn't have suffered such serious injuries just to save me. I just lost one eye, it's not a big deal. Kakashi glanced at Obito's position. pretending to be relaxed and said, "This time Obito awakened the Sharingan, our team's strength has not been lost much, and I don't want to be treated as a waste. A ninja who cannot complete his mission is a loser, and a ninja who abandons his companions is worse than a loser." This sentence was what Obito told Kakashi. When he heard this sentence again, Obito's face turned red and he wanted to bury his head under the bed. After making some determination, Obito said carelessly, "It's just an eye. I have a newly awakened Sharingan here. When I return to the village, I will transplant the eye to you." Kakashi waved his hand and said expressionlessly, "Forget it then. I don't want the eyes at the end of the crane. Even if I'm missing one eye, I'm still a jonin in the village." Kakashi and Obito were arguing as usual, diluting the sad atmosphere in the room. However, Nohara Rin, as a rescued person, was never happy. She kept repeating Bai Ye's words in her mind and kept thinking about them. People like you are not suitable to become ninjas. It is the best choice to live a normal life as an ordinary person. At first she thought this sentence was nothing, but after hearing Kakashi and Obito mention her being captured, the idea of retiring came to her mind. In her mind, Kakashi is a genius who needs to look up to, and Obito is a loser who needs to be taken care of, but in this mission, Kakashi, a genius, lost an eye in order to save her. Obito also showed his ability to confront Jonin head-on in the action, and he was no longer the weakling who needed to be taken care of before. In the entire team, the real burden was her, the medical ninja. Recalling her experience after leaving the village, she had always been under protection, and she had never even killed anyone with her own hands. When facing the enemy alone, she didn't even have the courage to stab a kunai. After thinking for a long time, Nohara Rin looked at Kakashi and Obito, took a deep breath and said, "Kakashi, Obito, after going through so much, I found that I might not be suitable to be a ninja. After returning to the village this time, I plan to retire. Are you going to stop being a ninja?" Obito was stunned and looked at Nohara Rin in disbelief. Nohara Rin nodded. "Obito, Kakashi, I'm sorry I can't stay with you in the future. You can meet better teammates and no longer be dragged down by me. Rin, you are not a burden, I am the last one, we need you," Obito said incoherently. Rescuing Rin was a happy thing in itself, and Kakashi's lost eyes could be replaced by himself, but after hearing that Rin was leaving the team, he didn't know what to do. Compared with Obito, Kakashi was much calmer, but he didn't know whether to stop Rin from retiring. At this moment, a blonde figure pushed open the door, looked at the Kakashi team in the room, and said apologetically, "Kakashi, Obito, Rin, I'm sorry I'm late again. In fact, I have always been a member of Hikaru Uchiha. Hikaru Uchiha is so cute." Chapter 19 Obito's Faint Sadness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Namake's Minato is a legendary name. A child born as a commoner was able to graduate with honors and become a disciple of Jiraiya, one of the Sannin. After learning the Flying Thunder God, he gained the title of Golden Flash, and became the fourth Hokage with undisputed achievements. After dying to protect Konoha, Uzumaki Naruto, the child of Namake's Minato, became the son of the prophecy to save the world. Golden Flash, the fourth Hokage, the father of the prophesied child. Namake's Minato will have many titles in the future, but to the Kakashi trio, Namake's Minato is just a cheerful teacher who is always late at critical moments. "Kakashi, Obito, Rin, I'm sorry I'm late again." After pushing open the door, Namake's Minato noticed that the atmosphere in the room was a bit solemn. The three of them seemed to be talking about some heavy topic, and Kakashi seemed to have lost sight of his left eye. "Minato-sensei, you came just in time to help me persuade Lin that she doesn't want to be a ninja anymore." In normal times, Obito would have complained about why Minato was late again at a critical moment, but now he was in no mood to blame the teacher and said anxiously, "Lin doesn't want to be a ninja anymore. Please tell me what happened." Namake's Minato frowned, but decided to understand the situation first so that he could enlighten him correctly. "It's war time now, and it's not easy for a ninja to retire. Even if he submits an application report to the third Hokage, it will most likely be rejected. During this period, if Nohara Rin still maintains such a mentality, it will be very detrimental to the next task." After hearing this, Obito seemed to have found a backbone and carefully talked about what happened these days. after hearing the whole story from when Kakashi's team was attacked by the IWA ninja to rescuing Nohara Rin and returning to the Konoha stronghold to recuperate, Namikaze Minato fell into a brief silence. The reason Lin had the idea of retiring was not because she was afraid of death, instead, she was worried that she would become a drag on the team. This time she caused Kakashi to lose his left eye, and next time she might directly kill his teammates, but these are not Lin's responsibility at all. After thinking for a long time, Namikaze Minato said with great sincerity. Lin, do you still remember the 3 principles of medical ninja? There is nothing wrong with your behavior, and I think Obito and Kakashi are more willing to team up with you than other medical ninjas. If you insist on retiring, I will apply for you when this war is over. No matter what choice you make, the teacher will support your decision. After saying this, Namikaze Minato left the room and returned the space to Team Kakashi. After Kakashi became a Jounin, and Nohara Rin and Obito became a Chunin, he was actually no longer the leading Jounin of these children. After Namikaze Minato walked out of the room, Obito said impatiently. Lin, please think about it carefully again. Minato-sensei is right. You need to think about this decision. Kakashi and I really can't lose you. With that said, Obito patted Kakashi on the shoulder, and Kakashi nodded and said, Obito is right. After feeling the enthusiasm of her companions, Nohara Rin felt much better. Then I will listen to Teacher Minato and wait until I return to the village to make a decision. But no matter what my final decision is, we are the most important companions. Well, the most important companion, Obito echoed, but felt a little disappointed in his heart. Just a companion? He wants more than just companions. The other side. After visiting the students, Namikaze Minato found his teacher Jiraiya. As the top person in charge of Konoha's fight against Iwagakure, Jiraiya has a lot to deal with. Even with the help of ninjas from the Nara clan, many key decisions require his decision and execution. This made Jiraiya, who was used to being away from Fonua places, very uncomfortable. He would rather fight on the front line, but Jiraiya had to stay in the camp to prevent Iwagakure's two Jinchuriki from making a surprise attack, so he could only send his favorite disciple Namikaze Minato out to fight and destroy Iwagakure's stronghold. Seeing Namikaze Minato, a smile appeared on Jiraiya's face. Minato, you did a good job this time. After removing Iwagakure's stronghold in the land of grass, we can directly threaten Iwagakure's the rear. It's all a matter of duty. I just hope to end this war quickly. Namikaze Minato smiled gently and said a little absently. Jiraiya noticed something strange about Namikaze Minato, frowned and asked, Minato, what are you worried about? Is it because of your disciples? They seem to have been injured during the mission. Do you want me to send someone over to check it out? Look. Namikaze Minato nodded. Something happened, but I believe they can handle it. By the way, they seem to be helped by several Rain Country ninjas during their mission. Judging from their descriptions, they seem to be the disciples you took in the Rain Country. Hearing this, Jiraiya's eyes lit up and he quickly said, let's hear the details. Namikaze Minato didn't give in, and talked in detail about Byakuya and others, and also emphasized the last chance encounter. The blue-haired girl who can paper escape is Konan, and the red-haired boy should be Nagato, but I don't know about Byakuya and the Uzumaki girl. They are not my disciples. I'm really surprised that Konan and Nagato actually joined an organization. Speaking of this, Jiraiya's eyes were filled with memories of the past. The 3 years he spent with Yahiko, Konan, and Nagato were also a past he could never forget. After a pause, Jiraiya continued, however, that Byakuya took the initiative to lend a helping hand to Kakashi. Perhaps he knew the relationship between Kakashi and the others and you and me. The last invitation was more like a joke. Namikaze Minato smiled and said, thanks to your help, teacher, otherwise my students would be in danger. Okay, no kidding, this has nothing to do with me. Jiraiya's face became serious, and he who had always been informal became a little more dignified, and he said seriously, Minato, how are you thinking about running for the 4th Hokage? The old man has recently had the idea of retiring. After this war, he may choose a successor. Namikaze Minato chuckled and said, Jiraiya-sensei, please don't worry, I will participate in the election of the fourth Hokage. As long as I can achieve enough achievements in this war and get everyone's recognition, I believe that the Hokage will definitely choose me. As long as you have confidence, as a teacher, I will definitely support you. After a pause, Jiraiya continued, but if Orochimaru wins, I will also congratulate him, ahaha. Namake's Minato had long been accustomed to the teacher's personality and kept a light smile, but for the position of the fourth Hokage, he has long been determined to win it. Chapter 20 Do you know how to change? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dark Room. After hearing the news that Namake's Minato had returned with a great victory, Shimura Danzo frowned. As the Hokage's assistant and the leader of the Konohagakure organization, he should have been happy when he heard the news that the Iwagakure stronghold was destroyed. This means that the balance of the war is further tilted towards Konoha, and victory is not far away from the village. But when he thought that all these achievements belonged to Namake's Minato, Danzo couldn't be happy, because, as Namake's Minato gained more and more credit, he became further and further away from the position of Hokage, which he could not accept. This made him eager to get more credit so that he could gain an advantage in running for the position of Hokage, but can he, who is already old, really compare to the young and energetic Namake's Minato? Even he himself was very doubtful. Could he really just retreat and choose to support Orochimaru as Hokage? After shaking his head secretly, Danzo Shimura picked up the map of the ninja world and began to plan to create conflicts between countries. After studying for a while, Shimura Danzo's eyes fell on Rain Country. Only by dragging more countries into the quagmire of war can Konoha's advantage become greater, and he can gain enough credit to make Sarutobi Hiruzen look at him, and the Kingdom of Rain is the best choice. As a demigod who was once given the title of Sannin, Sancho Hanzo's every move will attract the attention of the entire ninja world. After pondering for a long time, Shimura Danzo said to the ninja beside him, Ryoma, send someone to investigate in the Land of Rain to see if there is any chance to drag Hanzo into trouble. Aburame Ryoma nodded, then seemed to think of something, and asked quickly. Master Danzo, do Kakashi's team still need to continue monitoring? Some time ago, they encountered the Jonin of Iwagakure village, and a nearby Chunin team we were responsible for was also eliminated. After saying that, Aburame Ryoma told the news about the return of Kakashi and others. Upon hearing the news, Danzo Shimura's expression changed slightly. He sent people to monitor Kakashi and others, partly because Kakashi was Hatake Sakumo's son and worthy of attention, and partly because he was monitoring Obito Uchiha and the team. Although Obito is an alien among Uchiha, any Uchiha who enters Konoha's master-disciple system cannot give up surveillance. If the Wei Feng Shui Gate really becomes the Hokage, Obito will become the Hokage's disciple. He must not take it lightly. After thinking for a moment, Danzo said, sent people to continue to monitor their movements. We encountered Jounin who could kill the root team instantly and come back intact. They must have ulterior secrets. Yes, Danzo-sama. Aburame Ryoma retreated into the shadows. After a day of running around, Bai Ye and others returned to the Akatsuki organization base. After being out for nearly 20 days, Bai Ye finally had time to rest and fully relax his tense nerves, but before relaxing, he had to meet with Yahiko, the leader of the Akatsuki organization, to discuss the future of the Akatsuki organization. When he arrived at the Akatsuki organization's office, Yahiko was talking to Konan, Nagato and Karen. After learning about Carrie's tragic experience and the identity of the Uzumaki clan, Yahiko chuckled and said, Huali, welcome to join the Akatsuki organization. You will be our companion from now on. What do you think of the logistics work? In your current state, you are not suitable for going out to perform missions. Huali fell into deep thought, and then said hesitantly, I listen to Lord Bai Ye, I will go wherever he asks me to go. After hearing this, Yahiko's expression changed. Following Bai Ye's words, this was too dangerous. According to reports from Nagato and Konan, Byakuya even attacked the Quain village building in order to rescue Carrie. If not for the special ability of paper release, everyone might have died in Quain village. Even if Nagato is the legendary son of prophecy, he can't be so wasteful. Leader Yahiko, if you want to poach people, please do it secretly. I brought Carrie back, and of course it is my subordinate. Do you want to poach people from me? Then I will poach Senior Conan and Senior Nagato. After hearing that Yahiko wanted to poach someone from her, Byakuya couldn't help but open the door. Yahiko seemed to have noticed Bai Ye's behavior of eavesdropping in the corner. He sighed and said, "Of course the people you recruited belong to you, but your action this time is too dangerous and may even provoke a war between the two countries. With the dangers of action come great rewards, and I brought back essentials for organizational development." "Do you mean those ninjutsu scrolls stolen from Kusagakure building? Those are indeed things that the organization needs and can improve the strength of our companions, but what if something happens to you? The probability of something going wrong is very low, and if you don't come up with any sweeteners, how are you going to maintain the cohesion within the organization, relying solely on your ridiculous ideas?" Seeing that there was a tendency for a quarrel between Byakuya and Yahiko, Conan motioned with her eyes to Nagato and Karen to leave with her. After everyone left the office, Yahiko made a stop gesture, then looked at Bai Ye seriously, and said slowly, "Let's not argue about our differences in philosophy for now. Let's talk about the purpose of your action." Looking at Byakuya's operation, from the beginning of going to the border black market to purchase supplies, to gradually rescuing the imprisoned Uzumaki ninja, to making a big fuss in Kusagakure village and snatching ninjutsu scrolls, if Bai Ye said that Bai Ye was just acting recklessly, Yahiko would never believe it. After all, Akatsuki's organization was established after he and Byakuya discussed their ideas. It was impossible for Byakuya to take huge risks to attack Xiao village. It's for the future development of the Akatsuki organization. Bai Ye also regained his seriousness and answered quite seriously, even if there was no system, he still wanted to develop the Akatsuki organization, but it was too difficult at the beginning and there was almost no hope. Hearing this, Yahiko nodded and signaled to continue. Byakuya continued, "Yahiko, you may not have noticed that a year has passed since the establishment of the organization. At the beginning, everyone's dream was to achieve peace in the land of rain, and eventually spread peace to the entire ninja world. But a whole year has passed, and Xiao is still making small fuss within a few towns. Companions can endure a life of lack of food and clothing, and can tolerate the behavior of helping ordinary people regardless of compensation, but they cannot endure a life of repeated ineffectiveness and no hope." After hearing these words, Yahiko fell into silence. What Bai Ye said was true, and he couldn't make any changes at the moment. Even he didn't know whether he could go on this road, let alone others. After a pause, Yahiko asked, "Do you know how to change?"